How's it going? This is your Supply Chain Pro here, and in today's video, we will be reviewing an overview of the supply chain. The supply chain contains all of the necessary steps to bring you and the other end consumers all around the world the products that you consume every day. Think about the meal that you most recently ate, or think about the electronic device that you are watching this video on, such as a PC or a mobile device. The components had to come from somewhere, and iPhones or Androids don't just spring up from holes in the ground. There's a vast network of workers just like you behind the scenes working hard each day so that the world can continue moving forward. The first step in the supply chain begins with raw material acquisition. Depending on the industry, each acquisition activity can look vastly different from others from each industry. Raw materials are mined from the earth, oil is drilled from a well, wood is harvested through logging activities in a forest, or food products are historically grown through agriculture in a field. The first step of the supply chain focuses on large-scale and pure collection of a specific raw material. Different types of equipment and capital are used based on the specific industry. In the agricultural industry, land, planting equipment, fertilizing and irrigation equipment, and finally harvesting equipment or labor are some of the capital expenses needed for large volume raw material agricultural acquisition. This will look much different from the oil industry, where the land requirement is the same. However, the equipment of an oil well and required labor is vastly different. After the raw materials are obtained, they must be transported to the next step in the supply chain. Transport comes in 5 traditional forms. The first is over-the-road transport. This is usually done by trailer or tanker based on the state of the raw materials. Road transport is best utilized for short to medium distances over land. Over-the-road transport is traditionally the most flexible and cost-efficient short-distance transport option. The standard shipping truck can hold up to 30 pallets of product and is 53 feet in length. Different sizes of trucks can be utilized in over-the-road activities to meet the size requirements of the shipper, and lead times can vary based on distance, from a few hours in a short distance to a week or more if transporting across long distances. The second traditional transporting method is by rail. Railroad infrastructure is in decline across the world today as it was developed at a large scale in the 1800s. Due to the progressive private ownership of land across the world and no new terrain being discovered in the past 100 years, railroads are simply not being built anymore. Railroads are generally not owned by the government, as is the case with public roadways, and businesses that own railroad tracks have a difficult time buying additional continuous tracts of land across long distances for new lines. Railroads are becoming increasingly less competitive due to this fact, and options for businesses seeking transport on rail are declining. This can lead the rail owners to charge a premium if they are the only ones servicing this need in a region of the country or the world. Rail shipments find their most effective use transporting goods medium to long distances in large volume across land. The average traditional freight train is about a mile long. However, freight trains can be substantially longer than this. A freight train can have hundreds of rail cars, with the longest freight train being tested by BHP Iron in Australia in 2001, with a length of 682 rail cars. Lead times transporting over rail can be as short as a day or two to approximately 1 week or more based on the required distance. Transporting raw materials over water is one of the oldest transport methods known to civilization. Modern short to medium distance water transportation is in decline due to the increase in the accessibility of railroads and over-the-road truck shipping methods over the past 200 years. Barges are used effectively in some circumstances to travel up and down rivers on the interior of a continent. The largest opportunity for water transport is in global shipping overseas. Modern shipping vessels can be loaded with thousands of shipping containers or contain millions of gallons of liquid storage space. As is true with railroad shipment, the most cost-effective method for shipping overseas is in large volume quantities. Lead times can range from a few weeks to a few months shipping over long distances of water. As technology advances, air shipments are becoming more and more prevalent. The transport of goods using airplane is by far the fastest method of transport, with most major cities in the world being able to be flown to in less than 24 hours. Air transport, however, is the most expensive and has constraints on volume and weight that are not seen in the other transport methods. If you need something to deliver tomorrow, air shipments are the best way to ensure the fastest delivery. However, these shipments will be the most expensive, and it is oftentimes not practical to ship large volumes or heavy items via air. Small, high-value shipments are traditionally transported via the air method. The final traditional transport method is utilizing pipeline. When liquid raw materials are extracted from the environment, a pipeline infrastructure can be constructed to enclose and transport this liquid over distances. Costs to transport liquids over the road or over rail can add up over long periods of time, and investing in a pipeline requires upfront expenditure, however, can lead to cost savings over the other transport methods in time. Once the raw materials have been collected, they are transported to the next step in the supply chain, which is traditionally a manufacturing or production facility. It is at this manufacturing facility that the raw materials have work done to them to change them in some way. Oil, as an example, can be refined into a variety of different petroleum-based products. Some of the output of the oil refinery is gasoline. Some of the output of the refinery are a changed form of petroleum that becomes raw materials or another type of product, such as lip balm, Vaseline, plastic, or sealant. Some manufacturing facilities may prepare the raw materials and packaging for sale, such as produce that you may buy from a local grocery store. An example of a manufacturing plant converting raw materials is that of a coffee bean grown and harvested in Colombia, transported over the ocean and over the road, and brought to a coffee roasting facility. The coffee beans are then roasted, ground, and packaged into food-safe retail containers for consumer purchase, or converted into bulk coffee grounds to be shipped to another manufacturing plant, which may be used as raw material bulk ingredient at an ice cream facility to make coffee-flavored ice cream. Finished consumer product can be the output of a manufacturing facility, or the raw materials can be converted into another form of bulk input for another manufacturing facility within the supply chain. The key takeaway here is that the value of the conversion of the material state coming into the manufacturing facility versus the state going out of the manufacturing facility. After the raw materials are converted, they again will be subject to transport. Traditional manufacturing facilities have a limited amount of storage space. Historically, storing inventory while waiting for the next step of the supply chain can lead to capacity issues at the manufacturing plant. Capacity issues at the plant can lead to the shutdown of the production lines if there's no place to put newly produced product. Manufacturing plants should relatively quickly try to push out completed product via the 5 transport methods covered earlier in the video so that they do not have capacity constraints. Warehouses have traditionally been the answer to manufacturing plants' storage capacity challenges. Warehouses are large buildings designed for storage. The idea is that they rent storage space. The items stored could be finished goods after the manufacturing process or bulk raw materials before going to a manufacturing facility. Warehouses come in a wide variety of different sizes, shapes, and functions. Warehouses on the smaller end of the range can be between 50,000 to 80,000 square feet, while the average warehouse is between 500,000 and 800,000 square feet. The largest warehouses can exceed 2 million square feet. Most warehouses are ambient in temperature, which means that there is no temperature control. However, if the product needs to remain frozen, as is required for certain foods such as the coffee-flavored ice cream that was manufactured earlier in the video, cold storage warehouses are used to keep food products stored below the required temperatures. Warehouses can also have a variety of different types of automation that can assist with the loading, unloading, and storage processes at the facility. Cross docks are generally long and narrow facilities with many dock doors and very little storage space in between. The purpose behind a cross dock is to skip the storage step of a warehouse. Inbound deliveries are placed into the doors of a cross-dock, and as the trailer is unloaded, the system will automatically determine the outbound need for the product so that the inbound pallet is taken directly to and loaded on an outbound trailer. Cross-docks are traditionally used for high-demand, quick turnover, or perishable items that skip the warehousing storage step of the supply chain, ensuring the product moves through the supply chain quickly. Distribution centers specialize in the shipping of product to retailers or directly to the end consumer. Distribution centers specialize in the rapid and itemized shipment of individual units or small quantity of combination orders. This type of facility inbounds the finished product and may store it for a short amount of time and then ship it out again however the purchaser desires transport. This type of facility is oftentimes located near large markets so that it can quickly get orders to customers in a city, state, or region based on volume. The last step of the supply chain is to present the product to the end consumer, whether it be through direct shipment to personal residents, small shipment to local small business shops, larger shipments to big box retail department stores, or additional distribution center shipments within another customer's network. The goal is to present the finished product to the customer in a way that is accessible for them to purchase or use. Most final transport activities at this part of the supply chain are done with an over-the-road vehicle in some fashion. Think of UPS or FedEx or the Amazon delivery truck. As you can tell, the supply chain contains 3 important stops from start to finish, transportation in between the important stops, and an endless amount of complexities if the final product requires it. One best practice in the supply chain world is to try to minimize touches of product and movement. This is known as a lean principle and may be reviewed in a future video on the channel. An example of a lean approach to the supply chain would be building a lumber processing facility right next to a forest, or a metal forge and fabricator facility immediately next to a mine. Companies that utilize this technique skip one of the transportation steps between bulk raw material acquisition and the manufacturing facility. In the event that these companies were to build a lumber yard or storage warehouse for the processed lumber or metal immediately close to the point of origin for the raw materials, they could also skip another transportation step in the supply chain. This is a variation of a concept called vertical integration, which will be covered in a future video. If you have questions, comments, or a unique story about the supply chain, comment down below. Like and subscribe if you found value in the content of this video. This is your Supply Chain Pro, out.